welcome. Welcome to a review. And yes, I came back to the hotel in time to watch the games tonight, the ones that I was able to see, other than the regionally blacked out ones. So before I left home, I spent the $129 Canadian required to get the half season package for NHL. And I thought, there, I don't have to worry about missing games. Keep in mind, when I'm at home, I don't miss a game. So the regional blackouts you get around by subscribing to the NHL. And I didn't in the States, but I do in Canada. So, yeah, that surprised me when I saw you can't get this. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll go to the NBC Sports thing, and it's like, oh, use your login with your cable company, and if you don't have the channel, then we'll let you watch it. And I'm like, I don't have an American subscription to a cable company. Now I got to get a cable company to an American broad. Like, I'm in a hotel and I don't get the NBC Sports Network. Don't even get the NHL channel. So, yeah, that was fun. All right, let's start off with one of the games I was able to watch. Washington and Montreal, and yes, eventually I did watch one of the streaming channels because, well, not streaming channels, but streaming websites. Anyways. Montreal and the Washington Capitals, and the Capitals who are really good on the road, and the Montreal Canadiens who really aren't very good at home. This meeting kind of turns out the way you might expect it to turn out. Now, let's go through my notes. So I did make notes. There's a whole page of notes here, and then another page over here. So 500th game for Dale Weiss, and Dale Weiss would definitely come up during this game. Of course, they mentioned there was no Ovechkin. They must have mentioned it about 46 times. And I understand why. But without Ovechkin, they're still a pretty good team. And they talked about, without Ovechkin, they have a record of, and I don't know what it was, but it was still a good record even without Ovechkin. The Habs scored on their first good chance. So, first period, good chance for them, and they score, and that's Petrie from Tatar and Scandella. Makes it 1-0. And Scandella, who, there was something about him maybe being scratched, and then he wasn't. I don't know what they're thinking. Anyways, the Caps got a power play. Then the Habs get their turn with a power play. And then as Backstrom comes out of the box, he gets a break and just missed. But Price was really solid in that first period. It was obvious that Carey Price was going to have a very good game, and he did. Holtby then denied Armia. And then at the other end, Price stopped Nick Dowd. Dowd had a good chance on a turnover. There were some turnovers by Montreal, and I know there's probably Montreal fans out there saying, we were turning the puck over a lot in the first half of the season. Can we stop that? To which I say it would be nice if they did, because they're really shooting themselves in the foot. Yes, Carey Price can bail you out like he did with Dowd, but there's just too many turnovers. There was a late Caps power play with Domi in the box, and a power play goal ties it. It is Wilson scoring the power play goal from Vrana and Oshie, and it's 1-1 after 1. So we go into the second period. The Habs got a power play trying to tie it because while I was tuned over to another game, Boyd would score from Eller in Leipzig to make it 2-1. There was a 2-0 for the Caps. Price saved on that one. And honestly, Domi and Armia were snake bit in this game. Now, it's not news to Montreal fans that Max Domi may have been snake bit in a game. He was snake bit in this game. This was not a great game for Max Domi in terms of getting goals, but I thought he played very well. He just wasn't getting the goals to go with it. So they do get a goal. They didn't get a goal to tie it. I'm losing my track here. And then there was a turnover. So again, from Montreal, there's a turnover, and then Vrana scores. So it's Jacob Vrana from Oshie and Kuznetsov. I'm used to everything being on the board, not having half in the book and half on the board, or just the goals on the board and all the notes in the book. So this is really throwing me off. But it's 3-1 for the Caps after 2. Third period. And in the third period, the Habs almost made it 3-2. Holtby then stopped Weber, so Montreal putting on some pressure, and you could feel some momentum there. And then Weiss would score from Suzuki and Cousins, so Dale Weiss in his 500th game gets himself a goal. And the Habs have some momentum. And Dale Weiss may have market value if they decide to make him available. Who saw that coming, say, 3 weeks ago? But yeah, so momentum from Montreal. They pushed late. They pulled the goalie with 1 minute and 45 seconds left. And then you can see what happened. Backstrom scored an empty netter from Hagelin and Wilson. So Tom Wilson with a goal and an assist tonight. Good game for him, considering there was no Ovechkin. And for Backstrom, he does get the empty netter. Doesn't get an assist tonight, so one goal in the game where he was without Alex Ovechkin. So they win it 4-2. Your 3 stars are Vrana, Kuznetsov, and Weiss. 500th game, he gets a goal. Absolutely third star. Shots 13-9 in the first for the Capitals, 16-9 Capitals in the second. Third period, Montreal outshot them 15-12. Final shots 41-33 in favor of the Capitals. And your goaltenders, Holtby saves 31 out of 33, played very well, and Price saved 37 out of 40. He played very well as well. All right, moving along. And New Jersey and Ottawa. So it's another start for Högberg. And as soon as you see Högberg, there's two things. You think, all right, so which veteran goaltender is on his way out of town? And we're going to overtime, right? Because it's Högberg. That's what you think as soon as you see Högberg. The shots were 5-2 for New Jersey, 6 minutes in. Devils get a power play, and it turns into a 4-minute power play. And during that 4-minute power play, they would score. It would be Severson from Bratt and Gusev, and that was during the second minor. So they killed the first 2 minutes. During the second 2 minutes, they do get a goal. Wood was then denied. The teams exchanged power plays. The Sens scored late on a power play, and that's unusual. Ennis would score from Tkachuk and Batherson. So there you go. Or no, they scored late on. Oh, it says late on one power play. That's fine. I'm not as worried about power plays while I'm here as I do when I'm at home, because again, I'm just writing everything in the book and then just have this little board here. It's a nice, cute little board. And on Wednesday, be 6 games again. And since I'm going to a game, it's going to be like when I go to the games in Vancouver. All right, second period in that game, Rooney ends up scoring to make it 2-1. He scores from Green and Mueller. In that period, there were lots of shots, no more goals, as both goaltenders played pretty darn well. Third period, the Sens need a strong third period. Coleman hits a post. That was the Devils' second post, I believe, already in that period. The Devils get a power play, and the Sens, they thought were getting a power play, but no, it turned out it was another power play for the Devils. And then Nemesnikov kind of gets an end-to-end shorthanded goal. He would score from Hainsey, and then during that same power play, Chris Tierney would score a shorthanded goal from Brown and DeMello. And there was 2 and 35 seconds. They were 35 seconds apart. Then there was a scary incident where Borowiecki takes a stick right up underneath the visor, and he got cut here, but the stick, it looked like, might have gone in his eye. Thankfully, it didn't. So he left the game right away, and it was a scary-looking incident. And no power play. The Senators were furious. The fans were furious. There's a linesman right there. I thought in that instance, the linesman can call it. Thought if it was a double minor, if there's blood drawn, I thought a linesman could call it, but all right. Borowiecki did come back. There was a post for Zacha in between when he left and when he came back. He didn't stay in the game, though. He ended up having to exit because once he got out on the ice, it looked like they'd glued it. I know from experience with that glue. If you've ever been to an emergency room and they're like, we're not going to stitch it, we're just going to glue it. That glue's tricky. If it gets wet, or in this case, he went out and he's skating around. So as soon as he starts sweating, the cut's going to open up again. So he started bleeding all over the place. They sent him out to get stitches. And Palmieri did tie it late. He had a lot of chances. He was really being robbed by Högberg. He gets that goal late from Bratt and Hischier with the assist. So again, Jesper Bratt with a pretty good game. He's a pretty good player. I'm not sure why he doesn't get more press or attention, but I think he's a pretty good player. So we go to overtime because it's a game with Högberg in it. During the overtime, there's no scoring, so we go to a shootout. In said shootout, we get goals from Gusev and Hughes. So Jack Hughes, who got the overtime winner in their last meeting in Ottawa, he now gets the second shootout goal. And that locks up the game for them. So your 3 stars are Gusev, Bratt, and Högberg. Högberg, who saved a ton of shots. Anders Nilsson must have just been nodding his head and going, yeah, I know how that feels. Shots were 13-12 in the first in favor of the Devils, 16-12 Devils in the second, and the third 20-11 for the New Jersey Devils. 20 shots in the third period. 20 shots against at home. Way to play that defense. In the overtime, the shots were 4-3 in favor of New Jersey. Shots were 53-38 overall in favor of the Devils. Blackwood saves 35 out of 38. Hochberg saves 50 out of 53. I think that tied third on the all-time saves list in a game for Ottawa. And it's something ridiculous like that. Just absolutely ridiculous. All right, moving along. Toronto in against Nashville. Now, there's two things that happened tonight. Toronto had a good game, and Nashville didn't. And they coincided very well. So if you're going to say, well, Toronto, I guess they played all right, but Nashville kind of played lousy at points. Okay. And if you want to make the statement of this was more a statement of Nashville, okay, this was more a statement of Toronto, okie dokie. It all depends on how you view this going into it. So Nylander had a breakaway goal. That was the second shot they had in the game. Assist to Sandin on that one. So Rasmus Sandin already paying dividends early in this thing. So not too long after, Granlund ties it pretty much right away. His goal is from Duchesne and Forsberg. And then on their fourth shot, after Arvidsson almost scores as well, on the fourth shot for the Leafs, they get another goal. That's Hyman from Marner and Barrie. So pretty decent start for the offense for Toronto, and a pretty poor start. Whether you want to say Rene, whether you want to say the defense, you can make either argument. Again, this is one of those games where it feels like these teams are going in opposite directions. And for Nashville, this is a really tough result. So the shots did favor the Predators at that point. Yossi had a good chance that was stopped in the last minute, so we go to the second. In the second period, a really easy goal for Rasmus Sandin, and that's his first National Hockey League goal. He can just plunk it right in the net, Kerfoot, and Nylander with the assists on that one. So that puts the Toronto Maple Leafs into kind of a commanding lead. And then there was a post for Marner as the Leafs got a power play. And then just after that power play ended, Jason Spezza with the goal to make it 4-1. So Spezza scores from Hall and Hyman. And after two, it's 4-1 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's a pretty commanding lead in Nashville. And yet, they're still chanting, "It's all your fault" at the other goal. It's so weird. It's just so weird that they're right out of the playoffs right now. Third period, Anderson and the defense for the Leafs were both very good. There was the Predators turning it over a lot in the first half. They were trying to force passes through. It's one of these things that a team will sometimes do where it's like they're down late and they have to open up the game, and it felt like they were doing that. And Toronto was just dumping it in and making very smart plays with it when they got the puck. I thought they did very, very well in this. So in the third period, Arvidsson would score off the face-off. So the Preds, after all the turning it over, Arvidsson scores from Ekholm and Bonino, and that would make it a closer game than I think it had any right to be at that point, because the Leafs had played very, very well. The Predators pushed with 5 minutes left. The Leafs were doing a very good job of killing the clock, making sure that it kept running and that the play was continuous and just run the time off. So they pull the goalie out with 2 minutes and 17 seconds left, which allows Austin Matthews to get the empty netter, and that finishes it. I believe that's the 35th for Matthews on the year, and 5-2 is your final for Toronto. 3 stars, Hyman, Anderson, and Sandin. Shots in this one were 15-10 in the first in favor of Nashville, 12-8 for Toronto in the second, and 13-9 Nashville in the third. Final shots 36-31 in favor of Nashville. This has been a pattern this year. They outshoot the opposition and they lose the game. So Anderson, 34 saves on 36 shots, and Rene, 26 saves on 30 shots. We will continue to have the Rene conversation this year, and it will likely continue for a while. So, like, probably right up till the end of the year. Just weird looking at this that I can see myself in the mirror, and that's strange. It's really, really strange. So I'm trying not to be distracted by myself, which is unusual. That's a very odd thing to happen, but I'm going to let it go. Next up, Tampa Bay in against Dallas. And this is where the blackout happens. I don't know why I was blacked out of this game, and I didn't load up the streaming site at that point because I'm like, you know what? There's 3 other games on. I'm flipping back and forth on my phone. I guess I'll listen to it on the radio at points, and then I'll watch the condensed game and see what I might miss. So the Stars had a power play. The shots were 5-1 Dallas, 6.5 minutes into this game. Dallas had a pretty good night. And there are a few things that show here. Dallas's defense, Dallas's goaltending, and Dallas's frustrating inability to get enough goals with regularity. Now, they win. So that's the important thing, is getting the victory. But there are still concerns I have with their overall offense. There was some 4-on-4 play late, and then there was a power play for Dallas. And then in the last minute, Pavelski takes a penalty. But we come out of the first period with no goals. So scoreless tie after 1. Second period, the shots evened up in the second. Teams then got a goal each in the second half of that period. First it's Stamkos from Kucherov and Ruda, and then Gurianov scores from Sagan and Lundell. So that ties up the game, and there were some really nice plays Bishop had in the first. He had a great robbery of Braden Point. Point's probably still wondering how that one stayed out. But after 2 periods, we have a 1-1 tie. In the third, things locked down a little bit defensively, even more so than they already were. The shots were 2-1 for the Stars 5 minutes into that third period. And the Stars got a lead at around the halfway mark. It's Jamie Benn from Blake Como. So Benn with a goal. Nice. And that's what the Stars need. They need more goals from Jamie Benn. They need him to get to the 20-25 range, and it's going to be tough from here to get 25, but if he gets hot, he could. So the Bolts get a power play. They didn't score on it. However, they would pull the goaltender, and with the goaltender pulled, they generated enough opportunities they would score. It's Stamkos with his second of the game from Hedman and Kucherov, and just a great series of plays there led to this goal. The amount of offense that Tampa can throw out on the ice is intimidating. So we go to overtime. In the overtime, it is Jamie Benn. So Benn with 2 goals in this game. He is your first star. Bishop's second star. Vasilevsky's third star. Shots were 11-9 in the first in favor of Tampa. 13-6 Dallas in the second. 8 apiece in the third. And in the overtime, the shots were 5-0 for Dallas. So they didn't give up the puck. And if they did, Dallas didn't give up a shot when they gave up the puck. So your final shots are 35-25 in favor of the home team, who do win. Vasilevsky saves 32 out of 35, many of the spectacular variety. And Bishop saved 23 out of 25. He had many of the spectacular variety as well, because when you're watching the condensed game, there's a lot of saves by both of them that are there. So Dallas, good victory, and we'll see whether or not this bodes well for them coming out of the All-Star break and leads to better things. And for Tampa, this is 2 overtime losses against Dallas. They're going to be glad they don't have to see Dallas anymore. That's going to make them happy. I didn't bring the power rankings board either. I realized that today. I went, well, I didn't bring it. So I'm going to have to keep track of all these and then adjust when I get home. All right. Next up, St. Louis and Vancouver. And if you're going to say, well, just look at your last power rankings video. No, the board's changed since then. So it's just how it works. I guess I could get the cat sitter to take a picture of the board and send it to me, but that would seem odd. I can just track all of everything and just update it when I get home. So Vancouver was at home against St. Louis tonight, and this game feels different. I know I've been saying that with the Canucks this year, but it felt different. And it felt different enough that I've got the wrong score on here. I do. I have the wrong score on here, and there's going to be Canuck fans everywhere saying, he's got the wrong number of goals on there. Yeah, because that last goal was scored with, I think, a second left in the game. Oh, look, now you're not even going to be able to see that number. So you're going to be like, now you made a number you can't even see because he doesn't believe in the Canucks. Oh, I believe in the Canucks. I do. I didn't mean for that to sound exasperated. You still can't see that. That marker's way over there. Thankfully, I brought 2 sets. So, rather than pausing, which I normally would do, I'll wipe that out again because you can't see it. All right, can you see that? Yeah, good enough. That's good enough. That's fine. That's good enough. So yeah, Vancouver tonight, this was impressive. And what's impressive about this is, let me go ahead and flip the page to the Vancouver game notes. First off, Antoine Roussel's 500th game. Not Dominic's, Antoine Roussel's 500th game. A mistake which John Shorthouse almost made one night recently as well. Which made me happy. Where he was like, "Oh, Dominic, where did that come from?" And I'm thinking, right there with you, Shorty. So, 500th game for Roussel. Congratulations to him on that. But what's interesting is the Canucks did something tonight that hasn't happened this year to St. Louis. So, early, Sanford scored from Perron. And my first thought was, okay, Demko's in net. Demko's excellent at home. But it's possible he could have a tough night against St. Louis coming out of the All-Star break. It's possible. And I was also glad that Markstrom gets a break tonight. I thought that was nice. So, the Blues pushed it around the 13-minute mark. Up till then, things were very evenly played. And the Blues looked pretty darn good. They were in control of the game for the most part. Allen stopped Horvat, and then there was a post for Niskanen. Now, after that period, Garrett and Shorthouse were checking the stats from the official NHL app, and it showed no giveaways by St. Louis. And they couldn't figure out what causes them to actually put a giveaway in the books. And it is a stat that is not tracked correctly. And I say this because there are times where I will look after a game and I go, that team had 3 giveaways tonight? No, they had at least 6. But what the NHL constitutes a giveaway and what we watching the game might constitute a giveaway could be completely different. So I was glad to see announcers, one of them being a former NHLer, feeling the same way I do, that they undercount takeaways and giveaways. I'm not sure why, but I think they really undercount them. So we come out of that first period with the Canucks down 1-0. They're playing well. They're out shooting the Blues by the end of that first period, but they're down 1-0. So second period, early in that second period, JT Miller gets a goal from Tanev and Virtanen. Nice. I say nice because it's a momentum swing the Canucks needed. So there was and I also want to say too, Pettersson gets the secondary assist that, they took it away and they gave it to Virtanen on that one, did they? Weird. Because, yeah, that was a very nice secondary assist. Or no. Yeah, that's exactly what that was. They took that away from Pettersson and they gave it to Virtanen. And Pettersson had a fantastic pass on that play. All right. The Canucks pressed for a lead. And then JT Miller with a suicide pass. I'm not sure where he was throwing it. I'm not sure what he was thinking. But those suicide passes are insane. And St. Louis said thank you very much and took the puck and very nearly scored. And Demko bailed out JT Miller on a very boneheaded play, which is good. And Miller made it up to him. There's a power play for the Canucks. And after that power play ends, while there's play going on in their own end, the puck gets turned over. Whether or not it's counted as a turnover, who knows. But it's turned over. Miller goes the other way, and he scores. And that felt like an important goal because it's against the flow of the play. Because St. Louis was pressuring pretty darn hard at that point. And then Miller goes the other way and scores. So with back-to-back goals by Miller here, going into the third period, it's 2-1 Vancouver. Vancouver has a chance to do something nobody else has done to St. Louis, and we'll get to that at the end here. So in the third period, the Canucks nearly made it 3-1. They get a power play. They don't score on it. And then there was a play where it looked like it should have been a penalty on St. Louis. And one of the Canucks can be heard clearly yelling, WTF was that? John Shorthouse, being one of my favorite play-by-play announcers, says out loud, I don't know. Acknowledging what was said on the broadcast, which I thought was really important because very often announcers won't acknowledge when that gets said on the broadcast. They'll go quiet, which makes it even worse, right? Because then you're like, okay, now we know they heard it, now it's just awkward. Or they'll be like, colorful language out there tonight. No, not Shorthouse. Shorthouse went, I don't know. And it was the funniest thing I've heard in hockey announcing in a long time. So good on John Shorthouse for making me laugh pretty hard tonight. The Blues get a power play. Demko denied Schwartz. And Schwartz was looking skyward after that. And Demko, absolutely fantastic save right there. Because the Canucks were being outplayed badly. Then the Canucks get a power play with 3 minutes and 51 seconds left. They don't score on it, but again, you're taking 2 minutes off the clock. So the Blues pressured pretty well. Ryan O'Reilly went in 1-on-4 and went, I guess I can do this. And he did. He very nearly got a shorthanded goal there. Kind of had me scared at that point because I'm like, okay, come on. There's only one Ryan O'Reilly. There's 4 of you. There's only one of him. You guys should be able to do this. And, okay, or you can't. That's fine, too. They pulled the goalie with 1:25 left. They called a timeout with 55.2 seconds left. The Blues then hit a post with 10 seconds left. And then guess what happened? Bo Horvat. At 19:59, he gets the empty netter, and the assists go to Eriksson and Tanev. Eriksson could have hit that empty net, but he gave the puck to Horvat. So for people who are saying Eriksson's getting all of his points on empty netters, you're right. For people saying, well, he's out there on the ice late because they trust him defensively, you are also right. So see, we can all get along because everybody's right. That doesn't happen very often on the internet. This is the first time, according to the announcers of tonight's Canucks game, this is the first time the St. Louis Blues have lost in regulation when they've scored first all season. So, great game for Vancouver. Your 3 stars are Demko, and Demko as far as I'm concerned. JT Miller's 2nd star and Pietrangelo 3rd star. Shots were 10-9 Vancouver in the first, 16-8 St. Louis in the second. 12-8 St. Louis in the third. Final shots 37-26 in favor of the Blues. Allen saved 23 out of 25. He had a very good game. Demko saved 36 out of 37. He was otherworldly in this one tonight. So for the Canucks, again, that goaltending comes up big for them. All right, moving on to the final game of the night. And this was the least tense game of the night, for lack of a better term. The San Jose Sharks at home against the Anaheim Ducks in a game between 2 California teams who are struggling to become relevant. And for San Jose, they're closer than the other 2 California teams right now. And I will witness with my own 2 eyes on Wednesday the Anaheim Ducks. Now, I'm going to say to Ducks fans right now, I can't be considered a jinx. Not with the way things have been going for the Ducks lately. So I'm just throwing that out there now. I can't. I'm not wearing an Arizona jersey to your barn on Wednesday. I'm not going to do that. That's not going to happen. I brought an Arizona jersey. I wore it in a video yesterday. I'm not going to wear that. So there you go. Early Sharks goal. That was scored by Nason from Shellman. And then Marleau scores another early one. It's 2-0 San Jose. That's kind of the game. I mean, let's be honest. With the way Anaheim's offense has been kind of all year, that's kind of all you need. So 2-0 after 1. Let's see. But I do need to say that was Marleau's 1100th point as a Shark. The Ducks got hemmed in around the half. Gibson denied the Sharks late. I thought Gibson played pretty well in the overall grand scheme of things. I do want to throw in, I know it's on the board, but I want to throw it in, that the Canucks did win their 9th in a row at home tonight. Because I know Canuck fans, even though it's on the board, are going to be like, you didn't even mention it's this 9th win in a row at home. He's not going to give them credit, even though Canucks jersey and all that. Right? Okay, back to the San Jose Sharks and their game against the Ducks. Second period, the first power play was for the Sharks at 8 minutes in. The game started getting a little bit dicey later on. There was a nice shorthanded deke by Kasha that led to the goal for Anaheim. Kasha scores from Goodbranson there. But before you can get too happy about that, the Sharks made it to 3-1 shortly after Henrique hit a post. And that's Marleau again from Dillon. So Patrick Marleau, there's no Brendan Marleau. Patrick Marleau, I might be tired. Patrick Marleau with a goal that's his 2nd of the game, and that is, I've got the number here, his 69th multi-goal game in his career. So, not too bad for Marleau. Multi-point game. I know it says multi-goal. That's multi-point game. I guess it could be. He's got 500 goals. I don't know why I'm arguing with myself. So, the Sharks pressed with 3 minutes left. We go into the third period. In the third period, they mentioned that Erik Karlsson, after he gets the assist on the goal by Nason, scored from Karlsson and Gambrell. That's Karlsson's 600th point. So they had a lot of chatting about Karlsson and how great he's been. The Ducks get a power play. They didn't score on that. And then there was the incident later. So later on, Richie punched one of the Sharks, which he got away with. I think he punched Meyer, led to some fighting, and out of all of it, you know what happens. So when there's an uncaught penalty, the team that didn't get caught ends up getting a power play, and that's what happens here. So Anaheim gets a power play, and the power play goal was scored by Richie. So that's not up here either. Let me just go ahead quickly here. All right, now I got it. So Richie would score that power play goal from Steele and Lindholm, and that makes it 4-2. You guys can see how having part of it on the book, part of it on the board, throws me completely off. I'm going to be glad on Friday when it's just boards, just the board. Be back to the board. I'm not hugging the boards, just so people know. But that's as close as they would get. They pulled the goalie. They tried everything they could to get under the skin of the Sharks. It just didn't work. Your 3 stars are Marleau, of course, with multi-goal game. Nason also with a multi-goal game. Both of them trying to get a hat trick tonight. And Gambrell, 3rd star for the San Jose Sharks. So it's a clean sweep for the Sharks and the Stars. Shots were 11-4 in the first for San Jose. So thanks for coming out. 13-9 San Jose in the second. And then the Ducks wake up in the third. They outshot them 15-7. Final shots 31-28 in favor of the Sharks. Gibson saves 27-31. Dell saves 26 out of 28. Aaron Dell's the starter. Much like Hogberg, it's kind of come out of nowhere. He is the starting goaltender for the San Jose Sharks. He is the better of the 2 goalies. And that seems to show more and more as the season goes along. I don't see San Jose being able to make a run and get into a potential playoff spot. But they are the best team in California right now. So there's that. And we'll see whether or not they can get on any kind of a run from here. So now you guys are all caught up. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. The preview for tomorrow's games will be done tomorrow morning before we head to the land of Disney. And it'll be a quick, fun little thing because there's only 2 games on tomorrow. So I'll have some fun with it. I'll use the mini board here. And yeah, we'll enjoy ourselves and have a little bit of fun. We're done for now. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.